Hello, dear friends. My name is Paula, and only because I have posted so many videos, I don't think I need to keep introducing myself, but to say my name and my author name, P.B. Moreland. So I've written books, a series of fantasy fiction, mystery fiction, and they're found on my website, www.pbmoreland.com. So if you need to know anything more about me, if you'd like to research some of my background, you can visit my website, and you can also go through the many videos I've already posted. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, share if you feel so inclined, and leave a comment. Thank you so much. So I woke up today feeling, oops, excuse me, there might be someone here. No, just a dog thinking he needs to bark at a bird. If you have dogs, you know what I mean. So I was saying that this morning I woke up feeling like I was back in my body. Because over the past several days since I've gotten home from my trip out to Colorado, I have found myself feeling unusually sleepy, as though my body needed to rest and recalibrate. And today, though, I feel stronger, more grounded, more present in myself. And it's just a good feeling. Not that I mind being sleepy, because I know it's my body needing those moments of quiet to re-energize, and maybe uploads are coming in, downloads are coming in, and recalibration, because I'll tell you, most humans at this moment, most, not all, are recalibrating and taking in different energy, especially from Sirius, our central sun, through the galactic gateway, which is the solar Maximus, the sun itself, and through the different Schumann resonances and magnetic, geomagnetic influences. We are being bombarded, let's say, with light codes, and sometimes it takes a toll on the body. So if you feel the need to rest, please follow that call. And I share this because so often what's happening within us as individuals reflects what is happening out there in the larger world. We all know that the world itself feels like it's in upheaval, and this is something I have commented on numerous times, but I want to keep addressing it for those who stumble upon my channel, to let them know that it's okay. It is what we came here for. The Lightworker community, the dream realm, the realm walkers, the dream walkers, the freedom fighters, those awakening who feel that compelling need to keep searching for, why am I here? What mission am I on? Why am I still here? That's what some refer to this as, because they're tired. They're tired of these heavy, dense energies, but just hang in there, because the peace is at hand. The new world, it is here. It is already here. Some of us feel it, and some of us are just beginning to feel it. And when I feel that need to ground, which just means to pull my energies in, almost like wrapping a cloak around myself. I don't ignore those impulses. In fact, I no longer ignore impulses or internal pulls or bringing up a topic with my guides if all of a sudden it just pops into my head, because that is my inner guidance system, which has been growing and establishing itself very well lately, I might add. So when I talk about my inner world and my guides, these are thoughts that I have that I sometimes reflect upon in my videos, through the guidance I receive from spirit, from my higher self and my soul family. And I've been opening to the greater circle of guidance around me lately. From the soul conversation I've been blessed to receive. Mind you, I am not clairaudient, which is I hear voices. I am not clairvoyant. I don't see images. I'm clairsentient. I have an inner world and an inner guidance system that I have come to rely upon, where thoughts, when I talk about the crystalline field, some of you might wonder what that is. When you go inward, either through meditation or just quiet reflection, your thought process, if you can, there's a practice here of stepping away from the 3D mind, the hamster wheel, if you will. And again, it's a practice, something that you refer to. They are thought impulses. They are streams of consciousness coming in that you can internalize and create for yourself, as I have. Yes, I have gone through teachings and I have spent years reflecting on who my guides are, where I've come from. I am an Andromedan starseed. There is no doubt about that in my mind. My soul essence resides in the Andromedan fields and as my dragon self as well. I have done a lot of deep dives into that. And I am no longer compelled to keep seeking out that knowing, the teachings there, because that has been well established. I have gone through the Orion Wars. I have been in the Lyra system when it was, I won't say destroyed because it wasn't destroyed, but there was a lot of catastrophic happenings in that system. And then I came through the Orion Wars, subsequently the Sirius lineages and the Pleiadian, down to Earth. I know that. It is a voice inside me that calls to me. And these are the voices that I listen to when I feel the need to share. And so I know that many of you are also beginning to feel those quiet nudges. There's those inner dialogues with something greater. This isn't something rare or reserved. It's part of our awakening. And what I share here isn't from a book or a program, but from the living experience with the soul field. So not only am I having experiences with my soul lately, I sense recently in my inner journey, I felt the soul of someone very important to me step closer. I just feel it. It's not physical form, but it's an essence. And I want to talk today about how these connections are real, how they can arrive before the person does. So we learn to recognize them when the time comes. I am not wired anymore, and I know I'm not alone here. I do not speak from a platform of uniqueness. I speak, and I know many of you feel these inner compellings when you sense something coming closer. It is not a yearning for a partner or a new job or a new adventure. I don't feel the yearning. That means that there's a part of me that is hoping because maybe it won't happen. I am anticipating. There is that excited anticipation that it's already created. I've already created this person, let's say. It could be a group, could be a person that is already sensing me. Let's say I've put out the signals because I am ready. and I'll be very blunt here, I am ready for a new partnership. I have been solitary for many, many years. I love my solitude. I treasure my solitude. And when I say solitude is I live alone. I have family around me. I have friends around me. I have a job. So I can interact socially and familially when I so choose. But my home is my sacred space, and I have created it as such. And I have felt the calling now for a few years that I am ready to step into a situation or a relationship that most likely I have never experienced for certain in this lifetime. I've had relationships in this lifetime, but on a soul level, they provided growth, these relationships. But it wasn't on a soul to soul level where I could just let every single guard down and just be me. And subsequently mirror that from the other person. Um, and so that is something else I kind of want to bring up today as a I don't always have words when the feeling is so intense. Sometimes it's hard to match with the English language. But when you feel like you're sizzling, let's just say that, or you're simmering or sizzling, and the energy is almost tangible, that something new is getting closer to my energy field. So let's just talk about that for a bit. And then we can combine it with what's happening in our external world as far as world events. And so first we'll just go set this into motion, and then most of you know this. Some of you are probably just jumping on board this ship of the growing awareness around us. And I'm sitting out on my porch, my lovely porch, and the sun is coming down from above. So if I'm cast in shadow, bear with me. I just felt compelled to be outside. And there's a profound internal shift, known to many as the spiritual awakening. Signs include heightened sensitivity. This is where I'm coming from. Feeling disconnected from the old self. That's a good topic in itself. Vivid synchronicities, deeper solitude, and the oscillation of chaos and bliss. If any of those have been checked off in your inner world, we're not talking about the external world here. We're talking about how you respond and how you feel. So I could check off every one of those boxes and more probably. This mirrors when you have those feelings, that stirring when they feel when a soul connection or a deeper presence arrives. Not yet embodied, let's say, but felt energetically. It's as though the world itself is quieting to hear these gentle arrivals. And so last week, I was very quiet. I was tired. I was introspective. I was not really engaging with the world. There was an event I could have attended and I chose not to. I just didn't feel like my soul wanted to be in company. And whenever that's the case, I honor that. Unless I have been asked somewhere for a purpose where the person who invites me needs me there for a particular reason, to help, to counsel, to guide. Then I kind of check within, and most times I will proceed because that is where growth happens. But I'm talking about larger social gatherings or even going into big stores. Sometimes I just can't do that. But we want to remember that a deeper shift is taking place quietly. Alignment no longer depends on external milestones. That's a big one. I've said that before. We don't need to wait for milestones to happen in our world before our alignment takes place. It's that moment when nothing has changed on the outside, yet everything feels different on the inside. When breath steadies, shoulders soften, and you stop chasing. So that is how I felt this morning upon awakening. I had to pick up my sister from the airport last night, quite late. And I'm she says I always go to bed at dark o'clock, which is funny. And I wake up in the dark o'clock. I have a gardener's and a farmer's schedule in the summertime. But I didn't get my usual long hours of sleep, but I woke up just feeling like this is a new day. There are new energies about, and I am ready. I am ready. And so our world is grounding in sacred ecology too, which is something else to consider. Because it's not just me. I'm kind of sharing my aspects and my observations, reflections, and then how they might interact with the world in general. And so in broader movements, there's a gathering sense that our relationship to the earth isn't separate from sacredness. Many of us know that already. But the masses, that's not the word. There are those who are awakening to that. And true healing begins within. The emerging field of spiritual ecology invites us to perceive our environmental care as the outer extension of inner reverence. So think of how you are caring for yourself, how you are caring for your home, for your own environment, how you're interacting with your space. I will tell you this, and this is not new for me, and I'm sure many of you do this. First of all, I name everything. My car's name is Sheila, and her name is Fancy Sheila. Yesterday I attended to her, I pampered her. She needed it after that long car trip. Whenever I enter my home, I say, hello, house, how I've missed you. And I pat the walls when I go inside. I love my home. There is nothing about my home that I think twice about not caring for with a deep reverence. My home is my shelter. My home is my sanctuary. I have belongings in my home that are quite sentimental. I don't have a lot of fancy material things because that's not who I am. But I have, pictures, and I have some paintings, and I have my stones, and I have my animals, and I've made it very comfortable for myself. I'm looking out because I have somebody coming to redo my internet. And that might be a metaphor too. My internet's been off since Friday. Today is Tuesday. And so I have been unplugged, let's say. And maybe that helped with my re-energizing. You never know. I just thought of that. And so this thread of spiritual ecology can run through your work. The love and reverence you hold inwardly ripples outward. Your inner alignment isn't just private. It contributes to the healing unseen. So, as I often do, I start with the small. I start with the smaller picture, and then I take a wider stance. So this is also science and soul, what is happening in our inner alignment and the outer world. We live in a universe alive with consciousness. Our universe is a conscious being. On a grander horizon, scientific thought is exploring models where consciousness isn't an afterthought, but the very foundation of reality. So I found this online at arxiv.org. A recent theoretical proposal, quantum panprotopsychism, posits a universe powerfully centered on consciousness, something many of us have already known, but now science is catching up, suggesting that matter, mind, and soul are dancing from the same seed. Love that. This into the narrative beautifully captures the sense that souls, higher selves, and future partners are already entangled with us. Portrait of a universe waiting for its own awakening. And so the fact that because we know we consist of energy and matter. In fact, metaphysics is the study of energy and matter. Metaphysics is the study of consciousness and energy. So the metaphysical world has been around for hundreds, if not thousands of years. Madame Blavatsky, think of her, look her up. Saint Germain, Adamus Saint Germain, and many ascended masters were working from the metaphysical, from the consciousness and the energetic view instead of just energetic energy and matter. And so when I say that I feel a being coming in closer into my realm, into my, yes, because you think of our macabre as an energetic field around us that is 20 miles wide. 20 miles wide. Research that as well. It might not be called the macabre. That might be a smaller field, but that's what just popped into my head. Because we also have, as you know, our auras, which fluctuates greatly depending on how we're feeling and where we are and who we're with. So we're energy bodies, and we're also conscious, soul consciousness. Our universe is consciousness. The creative source. There was thought, and then there was life. So we need to remember that awakening is rising inside first. How widespread signs of inner spiritual awakening align with the feeling of distant soul connections arriving even before physical presence. I felt that this morning. And I went inwards and I spoke with my guides. I felt around with that and it kind of popped in my head. In fact, I also had a little conversation with, oh, I'm really getting in the shadows now. I'm going to see if I can fix this. Okay, that's a little bit better. So I went within and I also had a bit of a conversation. In fact, I invited my higher self, and I have a name for her. I won't share it because it's sacred. With the higher self, the soul of this individual, who I feel, let's say, circling the wagons. And I'm going with it. I'm going with that. I'm not questioning it. I'm not going, oh, it's just my imagination, or oh, it's just my hoping, fingers crossed. That's not where I reside anymore. That is not my wheelhouse anymore. My wheelhouse is absolute trust that these sensations and feelings are valid. How they turn out is really not up to me. I just feel this presence, and I asked my higher self to have a conversation with this other individual, whoever it might be, with their higher self, or soul to soul, however way I want to interpret it. And it was quite a beautiful exchange that I was inhabiting. And again, I don't need to share that with you because I don't remember the words, but I remember the feeling. And it was really almost like I felt my shoulders relax and I took a big deep sigh. I changed position again. because of the sun, and my grandsons stopped by to visit. Of course, their aunt brought them over because they're only 6 and 4. But we will continue as I was talking about this energy, how we work with energy, and this presence that I feel moving closer, the soul presence that has begun to step closer. Just knowing that, it's enough. Okay? And I also had the sense this morning, before I created this video, that I was on a diving board, a one that goes up and down. And I just feel, I still kind of have that sense of just gently standing, toes over the edge of the diving board, just enjoying the sensation of bounce, not wondering about the timing of jumping in, not sensing anything else. It's just the bounce, which I thought was interesting because the sensation just popped into my head, and the metaphor was the diving board. And so I asked about that, and I got you are suspended in the grace of your own timing. The impulse to leave will come as naturally as the impulse that brought this presence toward me. I am not thinking about any movement or any action. It's just the gentle bounce. I kind of feel it's the building of momentum, the gathering of potential energy. And so I've been reminded not to confuse the stillness before the dive with hesitation. It's simply the artistry of the moment. And I was reminded too that I've lived too many lives rushing. Now I'm savoring. And I have to remember that the outer chaos, which is a great deal right now in our world, if we think it is, that is what we are being shown. Unless we take a step back and dive deeper, because there still are. A few days back, I made the video about why Washington matters now. It is not what many think it is. And that is usually the case with any world event. Not that the players are completely dialed into what they are doing, but there's divine, and I won't say maneuvering because that's taking away our free will, but there is timing, the divine timing at play here. And I explained that in my last video. To many, it looks like there is something that's going to happen, and not a good thing, but it is all very benevolent, positive, and spiritual in nature, and it has to do with the timing of our ascension. And so, even though the outer world is in chaos, although it isn't, but to many it appears it is. That was my sister. I don't know. So I'll probably get another call. There's always something going on. I've explained in other videos that I often pause the video because life goes on. I can't just carve out a moment of quiet to make these videos. And I don't always want to. So, we were talking about the chaos, and we can remember that chaos is nothing more than humanity on the diving board, bouncing. The dive is inevitable, but most are still in the trembling rhythm of anticipation. That is why being grounded matters. You show what it looks like to enjoy the bounce, to feel the inevitability of the dive without fear. And so, something is happening in our world. Systems will collapse. It is appropriate. We have been in control scenario for too long, and these things must shift, and they will shift. There is no doubt. And so when I feel this compelling inner voice that says to stop and listen, to pay attention, no, take no action. That's one of my favorite lines, because I don't just jump into situations anymore, and I'm done chasing. What I'm doing is I'm pulling in towards me those situations that are the best for my soul's growth. And this has been my life in the last good handful of years, where I've landed in these situations which I used to think were only something that I would ever be able to dream about. And I've shared many of those with you. I have a job that I have, I can't even call it a job. It is my source of income, but I'm a gardener, and I've always been a gardener. So I feel that cliche, do what you love and the money will follow. That is where the magic happens. I am letting energy serve me. In fact, I have on a t-shirt. Don't think you'll be able to really see it because everything is backwards. But it says, energy seeks resolution. And I got this at my Crimson Circle meeting last month. Or excuse me, a few weeks back when I was in Boulder, Colorado. Energy seeks resolution. What does that mean to you? What it means to me is that energy is alive. It's living. When it seeks resolution, it is seeking either balance, just becoming unstuck, and landing in a field or a place that is healthy, happy, and whole. And when I feel these sensations about these events that might be coming towards me, I am no longer in the energy of, oh, I hope that happens. Whether it happens or not isn't my concern, because I will share with you, I have already found the best partner in the universe, which is myself, my soul, my guide, my higher self, my dragon self, my soul family. They are my partners in this lifetime. I don't need a physical partner to feel whole. I already am whole. Yet it's that feeling that finally, because I have been an inhabitant of this planet for thousands of years. In fact, I also just learned recently from my inner circle that I had a lifetime in France in the early 1800s, and it was so brutal, so hard, so atrociously traumatic that I needed to refresh. And I went back to the Andromedan system, into these particular, I forgot the name of them. Shoot, I don't want to pause the video to find it. But they are, I'll use the word temple, but that's not correct. To gather myself back. In fact, most likely that was going to be it for me, because it was just so horrendous. However, I heard the call, and I was born in 1958 with the first wave. And I made the choice to return for this awakening. That is why I am here. I know that in my heart, whether some might say, oh, that's just your imagination. Maybe so, but my imagination is powerful. Everyone's imagination is one of our most powerful gifts, is to imagine what our world and our life is like, because we are master creators. We are energetic beings. We can create that which we want. So be careful what you wish for. That's that old adage, that because we create everything in our world, We create the good along with the bad, if you want to put labels on things. And so hardships, victimhood, suffering, yes, those are part of our nature. However, we can create above that, not in um, a an echelon moment of going higher above, like levels, but in vibration, frequency. So I'll just tell you a little quick story, and this is, again, I just share these little tiny things that for me are big deals, for others are like, so. But what used to really drive me crazy, and I would just get really, really frustrated, that is when I would spill something. I would just, have that blast. Oh, well, this morning, here's my water, my ever-present glass of water. I had just filled it up with ice, just put my mix in it, my fizzies and my magnesium powder and my apple cider vinegar, and I hadn't yet put the top on, because there's a top on it. And I knocked it over. Just went down the back of my counter that's luckily you can move back and forth. And I was ready to just start to have a fit, and I thought, not that big of a deal. I'll just clean it up. In fact, I have a towel right there. I can just, in fact, it'll help me clean up the floor. It's kind of got a little bit muddy. And to me, that's a big deal. I don't have those triggers. And if they arise, the triggers, then I just calmly talk myself through it and just say it's not that big of a deal. Not like you shouldn't go there or don't do that, because that negative self-talk it can be reversed. It's just like, it's not that big of a deal. Breathe through it, my dear, and then try to find the pony in the poop. My favorite one. The old way to look at it, as there's a optimist and a pessimist. And the pessimist opens this door, like I say, of a barn door, and just sees this big pile of poop. That's all the pessimist sees. The optimist comes along and opens the door and says, there's gonna be a pony in there somewhere. And so I try to stay there. That is where I am residing. And so if we can all see that the world feels like it's in upheaval. Institutions crumbling, truths are surfacing, uncertainty is everywhere. It can look chaotic and it can feel unsettling, but just as in our own lives, upheaval is not the end. It's the stirring that signals a breakthrough. So breakthroughs are happening, and most likely the positive, beautiful aspects are not being shared yet, but they will be. And so for a very long time, so much has been hidden from us about who we are, our true history, about the greater universe we belong to. And yet, many of us have always known deep down there was something more. That knowing is not a mistake. It's why we are here now. It's why I came back. It's to live through that uncovering. And just as I felt myself move from heaviness into strength, last week wasn't really heavy, but it did kind of feel kind of like I was under some heavy water. I was quite tired. I will say not even last week. Just this morning, it turned. And just as I felt myself moving from heaviness into strength, the world is moving from breakdown into breakthrough. That tiredness, the waiting, the unease, those are signs of old dissolving. So the grounding, the clarity, the strength returning, those are signs of the new foundation being born. And so because I have felt this presence of a soul connection, not yet in physical form, but very much alive in essence. This reminds me, and perhaps it will remind you, that so much happens on the soul level before we ever see it unfold in our lives. These connections are real, and they're not part of, these connections are real. These are my notes. And they are part of the greater change we're living through. The hidden is becoming invisible. I think I'm getting tired. The hidden is becoming visible in the world and in our hearts. So if you're feeling tired, unsettled, or even sensing connections or possibilities you can't quite explain, as I said before, I am not unique. Know this, you're not alone. What you feel inside is part of humanity's awakening. Each of us is a signal, fire lighting the way. Together, we are stepping into what has always been waiting for us. And so I could look at it as my personal truth is sleepiness turning into groundedness. And then the world reflection that I referred to is the upheaval leading to breakthrough, and the hidden becoming visible, both in society and in soul connections. And I'm hoping that you could see yourselves in this journey, because it is a grand journey that we are on. It is a soul level life that we are living. In many of our lifetimes, we just got by. We were in survival mode. Whether we were in nomads on the plains in Tibet, high range lands, whether we were in industry and just trying to keep our families alive and safe, we are moving into, and we are already in the area, in the world, in the energy, in the dimension of the fifth world, have arrived. Just need to really settle into our truth and to not ignore the internal warning signs, or the, like it said, we are the signal fire, or the signal fire. Pay attention to the little sparks that are in your world. It's not the external world that is going to set you up for a lifetime of peace, prosperity, abundance, and health. All the wonderful harmonics of humanity that we have been waiting for. It is your ability to be still, to be the guardian of your own inner light, to hold the line, to stay calm when many in our world are going to have a lot of problems because they haven't quite made that connection to their sovereignty. They might never make that connection, and it's not us to make it for them, but it's up for us to be steady and calm in our essence, in our energetic bodies and our physical bodies. And so with that, my grandsons moved my bell. So I will just ring the bell. Ding, 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 ding. It's an energy bell. Ding, 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 ding. For our children, our beautiful, blessed souls wearing the cape of mastery, who are being freed as we speak. And for the awakening, the spiritual awakening that has been occurring for many years, but is finding its peak as we speak. So play well together. Go inward into the crystalline field that's within. Nod to those that you pass. Give them a smile. You never know. You might change their world. And I look forward to seeing you again very, very soon. Namaste.